All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. I'm Jay, your host, and today we're back with more coffee, and this time with a question. And what is the question? So basically, this question came from a woman named Meagan, and I've actually found this question on one of the coffee forums. I'll read every once in a while. I don't read a lot of forums, but every once in a while, I'll read a forum, and I will be like, oh, there's an interesting thing. And hopefully that when I answer on forums, I try to be as helpful and thorough as possible. I don't understand why people need to be so snide and so mean to other people, because, you know, everyone forgets that at some point in time, we were all newbies to any pursuit and don't have have only questions and no answers. And so the question that Meagan posed on this group, let me look it up here and make sure I got it correctly. If you want to see the text, it's in the description as well below. Mom, good morning to you. Naomi as well. Good morning. How are things in Alabama and New York? All right, so here it is. The question is, oh, you can't really see that, can you? The question is, looking for options on the Hario. I have the stainless steel version pictured below and looking to purchase the switch. Is it much better, worth the price, or will it work just about the same as what I have? I like the idea of being able to hold water to steep, but also not sure if it's truly better than what I have. Okay, so here's what she has. She has this brewer called the Incentar. And the Incentar is this stainless steel brewer that is very similar to this one. And the closest thing that I have to the Incentar is this. This here is the IKEA Overst. And basically it is a stainless steel pour-over dripper. And Naomi says, if you ask me the switch is worth the buy, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. And so the whole thing is that, well, let's look at this. So this one, like the Incentar, it has a perforated stainless filter, conical filter, in a stainless cone. Now, in this particular one, this Overst, I don't know why I bought it, but it was kind of curious. Like it has this funnel. I don't know why they made the funnel, but I guess because, you know, IKEA, they have kitchen sets and you can like make funnels and use them in your kitchen. And this will come off. Maybe it will. Oh yeah, you rotate it and there's a notch and then you can take it off. So you can clean it or you can just use it as a funnel. It's actually kind of versatile, although I never use it for anything. I just have it here. So this is very close to the Incentar, right? So that's very close. Now, if we look here, this is the Hario switch. I brought the switch out. And, you know, when I was initially writing a post to address her question, I guess I'm really bad at reading sometimes. Like I don't read as close as I should. I just kind of like go within and I didn't realize that I just saw she had a picture and I just presumed that she had some kind of Hario V60 stainless. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And I didn't realize that she actually had a very different brewer than the Hario. So my answer to her on the forum was based on that thought that it's a Hario stainless, V60 stainless, versus a different one and the switch. And my advice was to tell her that, one of the things that do you want to spend the money? And I can't remember, this is what, $60 or $50 or 40, I don't know, whatever the cost is. Certainly more expensive than her current product. But I was like, what you could do is take your Hario, shove a stopper in it, right? Like if we have this is not the Hario, but this is basically the same thing. This is the Café flower, right? So if we take, the big thing is you gotta stop the hole. Like this, it has a stopper. So we're gonna stop the hole here. So I told her, well, if you wanted to mimic it, just to get a feel for it, to see if it's going to be worth your while, take a rubber stopper or something, shove it in here, put your filter, put your coffee, fill it with water, let it steep for 3 minutes, and then pull it out, and then let it flow. And it should finish brewing by 4 minutes. And I said, that will give you a good approximation of what's happening with this. Because we talked a little bit about what are the differences, right? Because these type of brewers are pour over, as all of you know, they pass through the coffee, the water flows through the coffee, brewing it, and it's a constant flow. Whereas this is full immersion. Once you close the valve, the water just steeps like a tea. So the way that it extracts is different, and so I find that the flavors, the expression of the coffee will be different. Now, it's not that you're not changing a coffee from one to another. Like I'm not making a Bourbon into a Pacas or a Geisha into a Robusta, or the other way around. But you're going to express it in different ways, right? And so that's, to me, where the difference is. This is the thing about the switch. You have to be careful with the switch of the switch, because if you push it too far up, you have to reseat it, and it's just a little bit of a, there we go, much better. It's not difficult, it's just that if you happen to do this in the middle of your brew and you're trying to close it, it just makes it a little bit more just tricky. Neighbor says, I'm grateful to be distracted with the live stream while I wait on service. Are you out of power? Anton's with us. What's going on, Anton? How are you? In my opinion, hybrid brewing shines to get a wider flavor expression with coarser grind sizes. Or to put it simply, it just tastes better. Leave it to the Germans. Leave it to the Germans. Kent's with us. What's going on, Kent? How are you? Anton says, I got the Swerks dripper. Is it Swerks or Swerks? Swerks dripper, which is like the Switch, but on steroids. Oh, I'm not familiar with the Swerks. Let's see what the Swerks looks like. There was a time when I didn't even think about, like, oh, I have a phone and I can look up the different things you mentioned. And then finally it came to me, oh, look, it already populated Swerks. Oh, we talked about this already. Swerks, the Steptown, no, that can't be right. Swerks design must have a dripper basket, dripper something. Okay, let's look here. Here it is. Here it is. Drips. Is that it? No, a meticulous conversion. Well, that's kind of cool looking. Okay. No. That, the bottomless dripper? This must be it, right? Glass bottomless dripper. Oh, that's kind of attractive. How much is it? $200. Oh, no, that's the billet basket. $95. $95. My gosh. Well, there's some screens here. Okay, it must be doing something. Kalita style basket. Okay. Oh, I see. So these must have some impact when you're using the Kalita basket or the Kalita filter. Some kind of resistance or something like that. Additional seals. Do I need seals? Screen finish. Oh, different stainless. Gold, titanium, stainless steel. $20 more. Good Lord. Valve color. Cone only. Minus $60. Okay, good. No choices for color. Okay, so you could probably spend $140. All right, cool. Cool. Now, what I said to her is that, because I said there's difference, besides the difference in bringing that, and I'm always reticent to tell people to buy more equipment, even though the impression I get, she only has this one instant tolerance. She's like, well, maybe I should try something different. And I said, if you stop it, then you can approximate the flavor experience of this. It's not going to necessarily be exactly the same, but it'll be similar. I said to her, also, like, one of the things, if you don't want to spend the money, the Avid Clever Brewer is another option that I think is very viable. I use that personally every day, or whenever I'm making coffee in the kitchen, and I think it's the same style of brewing, and I think that's a great way to go as well. So, but without spending too much money, right? I mean, of course, this is certainly a much more, I want to say, it's just a nice, handsome-looking brewer. The Avid Clever, it's plastic, and so after you use it for a lot of years and make thousands of cups in it, and I mean, the one that I'm using, we've made thousands, probably 10,000 cups in it, because it was what we used at the shop. And my equipment tends to be the stuff that gets discarded from the stores, because it needs to be out. It's to be pulled out of service, it breaks or something like that, and that's why my Chemexes here are cracked, right? Because if we get a piece of glass into a customer's drink, that's a problem. But for me, it's okay. I can live. All right, let's see here. What are we, I'm falling behind. Yep, the bottomless dripper. Okay, gotcha. Oh, out of heat. Good Lord. How cold is it down in Bama? That's terrible. Brian's asking, steep's like the first stage in French press. Exactly. So very similar. And that's what we had in our discussion in the thread, she had asked about French press, and the French press is very similar to this, right? It is the big difference between the French press and this is the way that you filter the coffee, right? So the press, you press down and then it strains it and then you pour it in, and it gets everything that's in the coffee. When you pour through a filter, that filter is fine enough so it removes the microfine sediments, and then it also removes the essential oils of the coffee. So if you ever look at like French press coffee, if you look at your cup and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, here's my coffee. And you're looking at it and you see you'll see shimmering, and you'll also see that there's like a brown opacity to it, right? And you're like, so you look at it and you see shimmery globules of oils. That's the oils that are from the coffee. And those are all filtered out by using a filter. Now, another thing that I said to her is that you could, I think I said that, you might think about like, oh, I could probably brew a French press, if I have a French press, brew a French press, and then pour it through the filter to clarify it, and then you'll approximate the flavor of making this. Yes and no. What I'm saying yes and no is because when you take a paper filter and you brew a coffee, let's say the French press, and you brew it separately, and then you put your paper filter in, and then you press your coffee, and then you pour it out. Now you're only pouring a coffee that has the microfine sediments, which are the ones that quickly clog up your pores. Not pores, but basically these are fibers, wood fibers that are woven together in some kind of mesh or pulped together, really pulped together. It's paper, so pulping. But there's basically a coarse mesh or fine mesh of fibers that are filtering the coffee. And so when you push this coffee that's heavily laden, that's only laden with microfine particulates or very fine particulates, it quickly clogs the pathways for the water, for the liquid to flow through the filter paper. This is why, like when you start, it's flowing very well, and then after a while, it's like, oh God. So what's happening is now those little bits of like coffee grinds are still extracting in the coffee. So you're not getting exactly the same experience, right? So that's why I think that it's better to use a stopper in one of these, and any method that you can. You just shove some paper or something in it, as long as it'll soak up. But as long as you're like retarding, you're just essentially damming the flow, you should get a good approximation. And I wanted to suggest that because I think that it's important to because what I don't want people to do is like buy this and they try it and they're like, I don't really like the flavor of that coffee. Like some people don't like French press style coffee. Some people may not like full immersion style coffee. And so I don't want people to get stuck with that kind of issue. And then they're like, oh, I spent all this money and I don't like it. Because then what good is that? What good is that? Anton says, I've been brewing the December subscription Wendelbo Kenyan very amazing. Tastes like the fruit tea and super sweet. Ooh, Tim always does have good selections. Anton says, yes, the bottomless dripper. I got it used for less. Oh, nice. I never think about like used. I'm sure there's a used market for coffee brewing equipment. I never really think. I never think too much to look in that realm. I should start looking market. Yeah, I should be looking at Facebook Marketplace more for that kind of thing. Anton says, yeah, you can use different boosters to influence the flow rate. And I got to be so those in those pictures, there was all these like meshes that I presume go to the bottom of the brewer that the flat bottom filter sits on. I'm presuming that those will reduce the amount of flow. Like some of them, though, I think, and I'm totally just freestyling this, but some of them that are really thin and open. Like, I don't know if you get past a certain point, does it really do anything to change the flow rate? I don't know. All right, it could. those are the kind of things that, sometimes I see I see certain things in the coffee business, and I'm just of items that come out. I'm kind of like, is that really going to do anything? Are you just trying to sell us more product, right? Ken says, yes, Tim's Kenyan coffees are so good. They are. Anton says, next up would be the Los Pirinos. Oop, I lost it. Sometimes my thing just jumps ahead. Los Pirineos, but I usually let coffees rest around 55 days. 55 days? What happens at 54? Then it says, I'd like to know what the difference is between Clever and the Switch. Really? Clever and the Switch? Oh, gosh. Okay. Let me go grab it. I have to go back to the kitchen and get the Clever. Because I don't have a Clever here, I'm going to be out of pocket for a few moments while I go get that.
Mr. President, colleagues, for all these reasons, I respect the urge option. Solution number 2. Mr. President, we have several of our colleagues who want to postpone the measure, namely Senator Jingo Estrada, Senator Uritu, and Senator
All right, here we are back again. Might as well grab this. I'll grab another. I'm going to grab a couple things here so that we can see some similarities or differences. All right, Naomi, since you don't have any power, I went to go get the Clever. Here's the Clever. This is the Clever, the Abbott Clever dripper. Oops. And as you can see, this one, the lid is cracked. And you can see the wear, right? There's a lot of wear from the use of service. It's permanently stained and tarnished down here, right? It's like all brown. And like the brown, I can clean off a little bit if I use my OxyClean wash. But it's discolored. Like it is kind of scratchy looking. I mean, really, this has had thousands and thousands of cups made through it. But the valve still works really well. So what's the difference here, right? So this is the Clever. This is the Switch. They are essentially the same, right? There's ribbing, right? This one has the vortex ribbing. This has straight ribbing. In this application, I don't think that the ribbing makes that much of a difference. In this application, or let's say in the V60, so let's say in the V60, which this is the V60 and this is the Hario Switch, they are more or less the same, right? The ribbing is thicker on this one because this is glass versus this being, injected molded plastic. But the size is the same. The shape is the same. And the vortex, now if you're pouring over, perhaps the vortex has some effect on the brew of the coffee. But if you're doing full immersion, it's just sitting together. I don't think it has much effect, even though you're going to open the valve and the water's going to flow, the coffee's going to flow through. Now, here's the difference. So with the Switch, we got a rubber base, right? So this fits in there. So you can just take it apart. It's got this nub. You can see the ball. The ball, it's really just a ball sitting in a rubber sleeve that has this little pokey thing, right? That pushes up on the valve. You can see the pokey thing. The pokey thing pushes up on the ball and holds it open, holds it up, which opens the sleeve and allows the coffee to flow through. Now, I just push this back in. Remember there was a day when this was still new and I was all like, I might break it. See, that's what happened now. Just, whatever, it's one line, it's fine. Remember Peter got his broken when he ordered it. So that's the valve for this. Now in the Clever, you see that there is a silicone thingy down there, right? You can see that thingy. And how this works is that there's a plate, and the thingy, the silicone thingy, this is closed, right? So by gravity, that plate is pulled down and closes the valve. And there's these little feetsies. Now these feet are super important. If you break a foot or two, you're going to have some troubles, because you can kind of see here that the plate slightly protrudes beyond the bottom of this base, right? See how it's sticking down here and sticking down there? When you place this on your cup, it opens that valve and the liquid flows through. Quite simple of an operation and very, very effective until you break one of the feet. We've broken a couple feet, and the issue is you put it down and, like, of course it's gonna, and then it's just enough. So if there's no foot here and it sits on the surface of your counter, that's enough movement of that plate to open the valve, and then coffee starts, in the middle of service. It's really quite a distressing situation. And the one thing about this, so the nice thing about this, it has a lid, so you can cover it after you add your hot water to it, you can cover it, and it will retain some of the heat. Where this one, it's just dissipating heat at a very high rate of speed. Now, is that important? I don't know. Some people like it, some people don't. You can always get some kind of, plate or something like that and just cover it. That's perfectly fine. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I think. With the clever, though, one thing you have to be careful is, especially when you don't have one that's cracked and busted, especially when it's newer, and you put this on your cup, right? So let's say I put this on the cup, and let's say we're brewing, right? So I would brew it like here on the counter, right? And then we would take it and put it on here and open it. Now, one thing that you want to be aware of, and this just happened to me a couple of times. Like, I'll do that. I will have done that. I'll be like, poured everything. It's beep, 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 beep. The timer's running, beep, beep, 3 minutes. And then we put it there. And that's pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy to do. We would do our house coffees like this. And you walk away, you might turn your back. But the problem is that sometimes if there's a lot of steam buildup here on the lid, it can, that condensing liquid can fill up here and create an actual seal. And so when you open this valve, it creates a vacuum that will suck down your lid. And because there's no replacement air to, replace the volume of liquid you're trying to pull out, it doesn't go anywhere, right? It just stops. And then you're like, oh, now you're getting over extracted. So what we had to start training ourselves to do was to just, as we're getting ready to go, we put it on top of here and then slightly just crack it open. And that's enough space to allow the replacement of the volume with the air of the water, right? So just little techniques that you might, but I think essentially they're the same as far as the results. And like I said, the difference with that and like the French press just has this really coarse mesh filter comparatively, right? So all of the fine sediments and essential oils get through, which is very similar to this, right? This perforated steel, even though the perforations are finer than the French press, right? Still not fine enough to filter out all of the minor sediments and the essential oils. That all comes through. So that's a big difference when you go from something like this one with instant tar to a filter brewed coffee. So that's going to be a change. And that's another reason why I was like, oh, I suggested that she mock up her instant tar to approximate the brew style of this, so that, because like I said, I don't want you to go out and buy something and you don't like it and you're like, well, now we spent $60 and now it sucks, right? So that would suck. We don't want that. Anton says, not much difference, but clever might have a bigger risk of spilling if you're, yeah, I mean, like, if you're like, you're drinking too much caffeine and you do have to pick it up, right? This has to sit on a flat surface before you put it here and open it. So if you're like Anton and you can't control yourself, Yeah, there's a chance it could spill, but at 350 milliliters of water, it's really up to there. It's not. You're not. You could have a lot of shaking going on, especially if you leave the lid, right? So if you can't control yourself, it should be somewhat okay. Whereas the switch, you put it on here, you put the filter, put the coffee, put the water, and then when you're done, when your time is finished, you just, and then it flows through. It flows so much, or less risk. I mean, certainly there is risk in having to do this, because especially if you're in a cafe environment and you're kind of like, doing multiple things, and you're like, okay, I gotta, God forbid, you're like one of those baristas, and you're just kind of like, you're so like, you're kind of like right on the edge of falling into the weeds, and you're just kind of like, and you put it on like haphazardly, and with liquid sloshing around, it could flip over, it could do all kinds of things, right? So then you're like, oh man, now I'm really in the weeds. So those are some things about it. Ken's asking, Anton, is that the Pacamara or the Bourbon Elite? And Anton says, with the switch, you have the option to turn the flow on and off. Clever. No, I mean, yes and no, right? So like, for example, I can sit here and do this, or that's closed. Open. Let's say I want to flow it for whatever reason, and then stop. That can be done. Similar can be done with this one, right? Like I can have it's closed. I can open it, and I can also close it as well. Remember, because of the filter, there's no like big particulates. Like let's say in the French press, right? If there was no filter, you might have these big particulates that could interfere with the closing of your valve. But this one, you can still just drop it on to open it, take it off to close it. And you can still open and close your valves on both, depending on what you might want to do. PowerPoint says you can get a bigger version of the Clever. Oh, is the Clever bigger? Yeah, there is a bigger one, I think. I only bought this one because, we use these in service. So our serving size was 12 ounces. So this is perfect for 12 ounces. I do remember seeing at the trade show booths, they had bigger ones. But I was always like, I don't know. But you can get bigger ones. They're bigger ones. And you would follow the same procedure for them, right? And my approach to both is relatively the same. I'm relatively the same. It's all the same. I'm trying not to overthink it when it comes to it, right? So maybe Clever's more American because bigger is better. Absolutely. That's right. Right. We're all about America being great again. We're saying comparison between the Clever and the Swift. Yeah, that's absolutely possible. We can make it Clever Week, right? And Power Plant would hate that also. Be like, oh God, here we go again. Another 12 episodes of one brewer. Clever also used paper filter. So the big difference between these two as far as paper filter goes is the shape, right? So this is going to use your typical Melita number 4, where this is the Hario wedge shape, conical shape, right? So, but you know me, I'm kind of cheap. So like, I will take these Melita filters and just fold it, right? Fold it as thus. And basically what I do is I follow the seam here, right? From this point of the seam to this point of the seam. And then it creates kind of like an oblong cone, but it fits and it works. And gosh, it's so much more economical than having to buy thousands and thousands of these. I can buy these like either through wholesalers or even at Costco, for God's sake, if I want, or if absolutely pressed, I can run to almost any grocery store and get Melita style filters anywhere in America. So, and that's why I like that. I like that. Some clever hacks for you to use. Powerplant says, April has an immersion. Where to go again? Keeps jumping. Oh, I'm falling behind very far. April has an immersion variant of their dripper as well. Oh, nice, nice. Power plant says it just uses the number 2 or number 4 Melita style. Yes, yes. So it's a trapezoid. Yes, exactly, like a Melita. And then Power plant says clever is a Melita cone with a rubber stopper, silicone, rubber, whatever. I have power, no heat. Oh man, how does that work? I live in a house that has heat pumps. I used to live in a house when I was growing up as a child. My family lived in a house that had oil. Like they got the oil truck would come and they'd pump in this oil tank. And I remember, man, it was like, that heat was so like warming. Like I was like, this is like brilliant. This is like the greatest. The 80s were the greatest time, right? But with heat pumps, heat pumps is trying to extract the heat out of whatever the outside temperature is. So if we wanted to heat the house in the summertime, it would be epic, right? Like we could have sauna level like house. But in the wintertime, there's not so much heat in the air outside. So it's harder it works harder to pump it out, and it's like chilly. It's always chilly. And now that I'm less of a man than I used to be, I'm even more chilly. Power plant says, delish PBAs. Well, these do not have PBAs anymore. They changed them years ago. That's what they say. Russell's with us. Good morning, Russell. How are you? I bet Clever doesn't have his nice filter paper. Of course not. Of course not. But you could just, shove. Like if I took this Hario filter, I mean, I've never tried this actually, but because I'm cheap, right? I'm cheap. I don't want to do things like this. Like these are expensive filters. So, I can't imagine that it wouldn't work. Like you could just put the paper filter here. That'll work, right? That'll work. You just shove it like that, fill with coffee. Now, here in this case, you need to be a little bit careful because it does sit a little bit lower, right? Than let's say, see these I also fold over. So it sits about there. Let's see, this sits, see that sits higher. So you would need to be a little bit more careful if you wanted to use this filter here. Oh, I guess you could, look at the way that it's folded. I could fold this over. Oh, look at that. Hario Melita filter, baby. Look at that. That's epic. It's epic right there. But it is a little bit lower. So you'd probably want to fill the water only up to about here, just in case, like your sloshing thing, right? And that way you don't get it come over and around your filter and then, invade your coffee. But that would work. I think that would work. Power plant says the slick, clever stations had little cutouts for the feet to slot in and the brew to flow. Ooh, I never saw those. I was too cheap to buy those. Like I bought the V60 pour over stands when we started, like in 2006 when Mike Inman was starting to make True Brew is what it was called. And they were cool, but I just, after a while I was like, it's just much more efficient to just brew. I could, in the space that if I had a station that I could put, let's say I put 3 or 2, let's say 2, I could put 3 of these and I could, have 3 brewing. We would actually keep like 4 on the bar because, you start to get past 4 brews at one moment, like it becomes, plus you're also managing like other brews and maybe even espresso at the same time, depending on the day part that you're in. It gets to be quite hairy. Power plant says Hario has several switch state variants now, including one that enthusiasts have been doing for years, the Meagan dripper cone with no ribbing. Didn't we try that one time with the Meagan? Because you could because the way that I think the Meagan has this like nubbed, see, it has this rounded thing here. And that's what sits in there. And I think we did do that. The Meagan does fit in there. That was kind of cool. Probably did that like a year ago or something like that. Hario also a new filter cone that has a stick in the middle of the cone. Oh, nice. Think of a wave dripper with only the perimeter being able to brew through. Oh, there are a lot of options, like Nami says. Anton says, for switch brewing, I recommend bloom with switch closed, open it 30 seconds, wait another 30 seconds, and then fill 50% of the remaining water. Close the switch when there's like 1 centimeter of water over the bed left, pour the rest. Oh, interesting. We might have to try that. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to not screenshot it, but I'm going to take a picture of it. So when we can do it, we could do a video, an episode about that. And pour very gently, I guess, but that kind of depends on the grinder. Gotcha. And you can't do this stuff with the clever. I don't know. I mean, I wonder. This might be the challenge video then. We might have to do a challenge. Could you? Because I can't see why you wouldn't. Right. So switch brewing, I recommend bloom with the switch closed. Open it 30 seconds. Wait another 30 seconds. Then fill with. Yeah, you could do that. Right. Like I could pour the water here. So let's say like we're brewing here. Pour, bloom 30 seconds. Then what? Open it 30 seconds. Fill 50% of the remaining water. Close the switch when there was 1 centimeter water over the bed left. Pour the rest. No further there. Pour the rest, and then open. I wonder if we could do that. We're going to try that. We're going to try that one day. We're going to do that and see. See if you spent way too much money on your Hario Switch when you could have just bought this for cheap, like 20. I think these at the time. Well, I think when we were buying them in bulk, I think they were like the retail was like 20, and I think they're now 30 retail. Matt Geeks here. What's going on, man? Interesting Hario drip machines. I haven't got a Hario yet. I think I'll try the regular V60. The V60 is great. Like the V60 is great. I like the clear ones because they're clear. It's kind of cool. I think they make a glass one. Oh, you know what? Also, I like the fan blade one. What do they call that? The one that we got like 2 years ago. It has the fan blades. I think that is like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I got to buy that. And actually, I ended up buying from Amazon Japan because they didn't have it here in America for a long time. But it's the same thing. But yeah, V60s are great. They're perfectly fine. Power Plant says, Hario also sells an electric pour-over safe station, so you can use any dripper and the machine will heat and pour the water to you. Oh, that's cool. I like that. I know, like, I think, what is it? What's her name? Chemex makes something like that. And that's cool. I mean, it's cool. But you know what, man? For 1 cup, man, I just think it's easy just to boil your own. I don't know. I'm cheap. I'm a cheap guy. Neighbor says we have gas heat and we have propane tanks we have to fill. I don't know if we have a leak, but the gas all gone have served. Oh gosh, man, that's terrible. Now they can charge out the yin yang for gallon. Now they can. At this point, as I sit in my home, cold air, I'm willing to. Hoon, that's what's going on, Hoon. How are you, man? You know, Hoon was asking me a couple weeks ago. He's like, you know, how do you do this like live streaming thing from the computer? And I reached out to my friend Tom Buck. Tom Buck is a YouTube creator here on YouTube. He's a YouTube creator on on Vimeo. But Tom made some recommendations. I'm still looking them up. But I don't know if he understood exactly what I was. Oh my God! I'm about to eat more Hershey Kisses. I don't know if he understood exactly what I was asking, so I had to call him back again. Anton says the electric Hario station is overpriced AF compared to the X-Boom Studio. Coffee Mocker did a review on the Hario station, and it wasn't very good. Oh, well, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Where's the X-Boom? X-Boom is from where? By the way, how is your morrow hanging out? Is it good? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to brew at these two because, you know, we're supposed to like see the difference between the two. So I've got the Hario switch and I've got the IQ Overst. And Overst is the, like I said, it's the stand-in for the Incentar brewer that Meagan has, right? And so Meagan has that Incentar. So we're going to use that. And there's going to be some big differences. I'm expecting some big differences. Oh, we're going to use our Hario filters, which have fallen to the floor. So I got the Hario, whatever, O2. I know there's a whole like world of people that are like, only certain Hario filters are the best. And these are the Japanese made one, yeah, made in Japan, and I don't know the difference. What is the difference? Like, I know people are like really picky about that, but this is the one, even has the embossing of the V60 here, so you know that it's legit. Like, I did not buy knockoff filters. I probably bought this at Tokyo Hands. I bought this at Tokyo Hands. I'm sure I bought it. Or somewhere in Tokyo. Maybe I bought it at Union Coffee. Like, if I go to Japan, like, I'm like going to like both Tokyo Hands, which is this kind of like home goods department store, or to a place called Union Coffee on Kapabashidori. And it's like, you guys would love it. It's coffee brewing mecca. You're like, oh my God, holy crap, I can't believe it. Like, you know those big Yama towers for like cold brew brewing? I used them myself for many years, but you must be, like, they have this one that is like 15 feet tall. You're like, oh my God, I want to take that home with me. So ridiculous. So ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to take our filter, put that in here. Okay, good. Now, what we need to, we're going to take that. We're not going to use our lovely cutting board anymore because it was just for prettiness. And so now we're going to use scales. We need the scales. I've got the, what's it called here? This is the Studio Edition Fellow Tally Pro. Right, and I'm going to put the fancy one. So what am I using here? I'm using the Overst from IKEA as the Incentar with the cheapy Temu Hario knockoff. Still kind of excellent buy. I think now it's like $9. Totally recommend this. I mean, it is a made in China complete knockoff, like hardcore rip right of the Hario's, you know, Bono style of like, but it's darn good. Like you expect it to be cheap. This is not cheap. And then we've got the Hario switch. And then I'm using the Kogu Unbreakable server, which is actually pretty cool. I'm looking forward to going to the next SCA show because I'm like, oh, I hope Kogu's going to be there because I'm going to buy more. I'm going to buy more from them. So let us see here. How do we brew this? We need to get some coffee. We're going to use the Bard, the Kenya Katheri. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to measure out some coffee. So here's the thing. There is a difference between the two that I want to try to compensate for. Because this is perforated, it's going to have a higher flow rate than this, especially as the brew progresses. So as the brew progresses, like we talked about, the fibers of the filter tend to get a little bit clogged and the brew slows down. That's why we might start off really fast in the early parts of the brew and then it slows down towards the end and then we might run longer. That's what's happening. Where this one will never clog. Well, theoretically, will not clog in the same way. So you're not going to have the slowdown, I think. Could be wrong. But I'm anticipating no slowdown. So what we want to do is do a normal pour over grind for this and then retard this a little bit more because of that higher flow rate. So I'm going to grind this to the normal grind and I'm going to grind this slightly finer, right? So that's the approach that we're going to do. I don't know what you think about that. Hoon says that I like the T90 as well. Oh, the T90, I don't know what that I don't know what that is. Let's see, T90. Actually, I should look that up. Hey Siri, what is the T90 coffee thing? Oh, that's a Russian. It's a T90 is a Russian tank. I do agree. It's a good tank. I like it also, but that's probably not. Hey Siri, what is the T90 coffee brewing device? Yes, use ChatGPT. I don't know why Siri asked me for those things. Oh, here, T90 is it just disappeared, but it is a filter paper by Cafe. Ah, gotcha. Oh, I think we have those, don't we? Yeah. I keep telling you I'm a coffee professional, but you never know. You never know. All right, let's see here. We're going to brew. We're going to get our coffee here. Like I said, I'm using the Katheri AA. We've been using this a lot lately, just because I have it. This is from Bard, from Bob Garver up in Portland, Maine. Not Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine. And I decided to use this because we've been using it a lot, and I thought that we'd have a little bit more fresh perspective with it. It's probably better if I, 14.6. 23.8. Okay, we're going to have to use the same amount, right? So let's go to 24.5. Okay, good, 24.5. And now we're going to get our grinder, the Fellow O Gen 2. And Naomi, I've got this one set now to 6. Very straight up center, high noon. So we're going to grind it in this. This is going to be our switch grind. Yeah, switch grind. Switch grind. Oh, I need to turn this on, right? I need to turn, not that. Turn this on, because now we're going to add our coffee. Oh, okay, that's not good. Really? Come on now. That can't be right. It's a 2,000 gram scale. Yeah, 500. Okay, good. Now we're going to add this. Here's our coffee grounds. Okay, there it is. We've added that. Now, time to add this. Let's get that out of the way. $24.5, right? That's what we said. $24.5. 24.6 will be fine too. It says Cafe T90. It flows much faster than Hario paper filters. Okay. All right, now we're back here with this. So the 6, we're going to go finer. Let's go 1, 2, 3. Why 3 clicks finer? I have no idea. I'm totally just going that by my use of the force, right? I'm feeling the energy around me because it surrounds us and binds us together. I'm just channeling that into telling me, where should I stop? And I think 3 clicks towards finer will give us the results we desire, right? Okay, here we go again. That sounds strange. I do like how it turns off, right? I do like that. Okay, let's go back here now. Now here we have to set it up because I need to tear it, right? Tear. Okay, good. And now we got a little bit finer grind, right? The grind is finer, so we're gonna put that in here. And we're like I said, if you're just joining us for the very first time, we're grinding it finer compared to the coffee that we're using in the Hario switch, because the perforations will be a faster flowing, what we call it, faster flowing something. Can we use this camera today? Maybe we can use it as an action cam. Oh yeah, that'll work. Anton says, and then there are the people who say none of the Hario filters are the best. Get Cafectine. Oh, we have the Abaca. And the Sybaris is a ripoff. I've seen the Sybaris. Actually, I have Sybarist. Gautam Kambergeri, who owns brewing devices in Dubai, gave me a pack of them the last time I saw him, the last time I was in Dubai in 2022. I have not used them yet. 4 years later, I have not used them. It's terrible. I'm very bad. I'm very, very bad at some of these things, right? And because I think the Sybaris is faster, and to me, I'm like, I don't know if I want it to go faster. I think I want to slow things down. Like, but I'm a curmudgeon. I'm a curmudgeon who's been in the business too long. So let's look here at our grinding, right? So these are our grinds. I'm just reheating the water, but let's have a look. So you can see this is a little bit cool. It doesn't look that much coarser. It looks kind of, oh yeah, you can see there's a difference. There's a difference. A little bit coarser. Let's also tear that out. Tear that. Yeah, it's finer here than coarser there. Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see. I'm going to use the timers on the tally to run the whole program, right? Anton says, of course, Dubai people use Sybaris since they are the most. Well, Gautam is he's not a coffee. He's actually like Brewing Gadgets is a supply company, and they supply most people, most coffee shops and home enthusiasts in Dubai and probably all of the Emirates with coffee supplies. I mean, him and I have been friends, God, for like 20 years now. Okay, so the water's ready. We're going to use our fancy Kogu kettle. One of the things that I like about these old school scales versus like this new school scale is that I'm going to set this up now. Okay, good. If I touch this after this point, it starts to time. So, yeah. So we're going to go this one. We're going to do 85 grams of wetting. Or 86 grams. Oops. Now, you can probably, in a moment, you can see here, it's flowing quite faster. Oh, that might be an okay shot. Camera's about to fall off of the counter. So now we're about 30 seconds, not me, 30 seconds into it. So now we're 86. I'm gonna bring it up to, so it's gonna float down a little bit. Now here's where I'm just gonna add water and bring it to like the same level. Now as you can see, this is flowing at such a higher rate. Right, look at that. It's gonna be done, this is still flowing out. And because it's flowing faster, we're not getting as much lift on the edges either, right? 132, 138. So 146. I'll stop there. And I'm stopping a little bit prematurely, so I'm trying to match the flow rates, even though this should be faster because we started that, however many seconds later. But as you can see, this is really starting to overtake this brew. And I know that I kind of switched it around to which one I poured first for the last couple of ones. Two minutes, 171, so we're pretty slow, right? I think we're pretty slow. What I'm actually kind of thinking more about now is that if we can find a way to match the brews, even if they go longer, it'll give us more of a, I think it'll give us more of an apples to apples comparison between the two. But as you can see, this is dry, this is still wet. So the filter is being clogged already, right? So where the perforations don't clog. Oh, and what am I doing? What am I? You know what? I just totally realized that I've totally mucked this up because we are not brewing this in the way that I would normally brew. Oh, we're going to brew one more then because I totally have made dumb mistakes now because we're brewing we're brewing this switch as though it were a V60, which is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be doing it the other way. So let me get some more water rolling here. Dum, 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 dum. In that vein, one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to grind some more coffee and change the way that we're doing this because, yeah, well, and this will be fine. This will be a good comparison throughout. And I do have one more container, so we can have a bit of, wow, look at 228, 243. Like, I can't keep up with it. It's so, the disparity between the two is very dramatic, right? And we're already, what, 4 minutes? So we're way over the ideal time. Like 261, 250, and still, look at that. It's still, so even though I've added relatively the same amount, 276 to 274, a good portion of this 276 is still trying to work its way through the coffee, where this is just now finished brewing. It's just kind of sitting there waiting. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just continue on with that because we're at 5 minutes. This is way long. So Meagan, if you see this, these are some of the differences you're going to find between your Incentar and the switch as a pour over, right? That's one of the nice things about the switch. It allows this pour over action. However, the problem with the switch as a pour over, now that I'm thinking about it, is that I am feeling impatient now. I'm feeling impatient. Is that when you compare it to the regular V60, the V60 has this very big orifice here, which is one of the things that I never really liked about it, but it has this big orifice, so a lot of flow rate through it. Where this one, because of the valve and the way that it closes, and then the ball is in the middle of that like channel, it does flow slower. So even as a pour over, you really probably will want to go a lot coarser than this in order to get a nice pour over. Like we're 3:42 here, 6 minutes, good God. Okay, I'm just gonna finish that one out. This is like intolerable. Okay, that's pretty much done. This is finished, so I'm gonna take this. We're gonna cover that and try to protect it for a little while. Dump out the coffee. And then what else are we doing here? We're going to be, this is still brewing, good Lord, terrible. But now we have a scale available to us, so I'm gonna do a quick workup. Oh, that's not the right coffee. Coffee. 21.2, 17.6, 21.7, 24.5. Okay, 24.5. Now, this is the part where I totally had a brain fart. So in this case, now that we're going to go back and do it again, okay, look, it's done now. Finally, it's done. 7 minutes into it. All right, there it is, clean. Get rid of that. I need something to cover it. That will work. Put that there. Now what we're going to do is one of the things that I forgot was that we need to make, since this is now going to be a full immersion brewer, which we're going to close that valve, make sure we get that right. I should probably rinse it out a little bit. So we're closing the valve, and we're going to put this one, and now because it's going to be full immersion, totally didn't think about this, we're going to go to full coarseness because it's just totally steeping in there, and we want to slow down the amount of extraction that's happening to the coffee because it's totally being immersed in everything. So we'll put this in here. That's the big difference between full immersion and pour overs, that you want to have the coffee, but the difference is that the coffee is sitting in the water the entire time. So if you had the same type of grind that you would use for like a pour over, you would actually end up over extracting the coffee. So now we've got that, put this back in. And then we're going to do this. Oh, a little bit too wide or too narrow. Get that in there, shake, shake, shake. Now everything's level. Zero that out. Oh, forget it. We don't care. We don't care because you know why? All we're needing now is the timer because we've got everything in here. And this will just tell us, oh yeah, I guess that tells us everything, how much water we need. Okay, so I'm going to take it straight off. I guess not. Maybe I'll put it in here. Why not? It's coming off a pretty hard boil. Okay, here we go. Now, zero that out or restart the timer. Oh, that's not working. There we go. So we're going to pour in just a little bit for the bloom, maybe about 50 grams, or we can do 50 to 80, anywhere between 50 to 85 grams will be fine. Oh, there we'll stop there. 73.9 grams will be good. Let the blooming happen for the first 30 seconds. All right. And now we're going to add, water, but we're also breaking down the cap, right? So the cap, as the cap forms, I'm going to go around and break that cap so that we rehydrate it and get it fully immersed. Oh, this is like the 01. I forgot. This is the smaller version. So you get the bigger version, and you won't have this. We really need to add another 100 grams to this. 113 grams to get our 350 milliliters of water. However, we're running out of space. I forgot about this smaller one. And now what we're going to do to compensate for that is we're going to let it steep and then do power plant's favorite thing. We're going to do bypassing by adding more water to it as the coffee, as we open the valve, the water's going to flow through and we're going to add more water until we get to the total volume that we need. And that's going to give us the brew that we want. And then we can have finally a brew to compare with the other coffees that we're using. And you can see this angle here, which is absolutely nothing's happening at the moment because the valve is closed. But you can see here, there's a little bit of leakage. I don't know if you can see that so well, but there's a little bit of leakage. Leakage is always a troubling thing for guys, right? So a little bit down there, there's a little bit of coffee dripping through the valve. So, yeah. Now, like I said before, if you just leave it like this, the switch, unlike the clever, it's open. So it's just, dissipating the heat. So you can add the clever cover to it, the clever cover, and that you can see the steam is being, it's keeping some of the heat there. So you could do that, or you could, it's really kind of like, it may or may not make a difference. And actually, maybe we'll take it off because we're going to be comparing to these two other coffees. So those are already in stages of cooling. So, this will at least give us the opportunity to have maybe equal or similar results, right? And even though we're keeping on the scale, like here, we're keeping on the scale. You don't have to, now the nice thing about these kind of brews, you can take it off the scale. But however, because we are pretty much at the capacity, moving it, right? Remember we talked about moving it can be very, very dangerous. So we will not move it. We will just let it wait 3 minutes. 3 minutes now. So 3 minutes, we're going to open the valve. There's a little switch there. Oh, see this? Remember what I said about seating it correctly? There we go. And now you can see here, it's flowing through. So I will steep the coffee for about 3 minutes and then open the valve, and then it should be finished around 3:45, perhaps. By 4 minutes. Again, we're always talking about 4 minute brew times. Right now the timer says 3:43. I think I opened it, at 3:17? So it's 30 seconds into it. So, the fall should be pretty quick, relatively speaking. And why are we using it? We're still using that as a calculation of our brew time because it's still brewing. Whatever's in there is still steeping. Oh, and we do need to add more coffee, right? We're only at 250. See, again, we're just totally mucking things up. And now I'm just going to pour pretty hard. 350 is going to be our brew. It feels like there's so much in there. There we go, 352. Cool. 4 minutes, 33 seconds. And this is definitely another long. So we're going to have all long brews today. I think one of the problems is that because I did it this way, I probably should have just poured it directly into it instead of through here. By adding that, it has probably caused a lot more of the fines to resettle down and then create more flow pathway blockages. And that's why it's slower now. So, we're just making mistakes all the way around today, all kinds of errors. But it's always a question of you can make errors as you're making coffee, but it just depends how you can recover and cover it. And so the nice thing is though, is that, a lot of times you're going to have people that are over your house that you're going to be making for them, and maybe you make those errors. Just don't tell them. They'll never know the difference. They're probably drinking some kind of dreck at their own house that your coffee's way better. So you're just like, here's some coffee. And they'll be like, oh my God, this is so great. And you totally mucked it up. You totally overbrewed it. You totally over-extracted it. It's totally not to your standard. You're like, that's disgusting. I wouldn't eat that. I wouldn't give that to my dog. But you gave it to your friend. And your friend is like, oh man, this is awesome. Yeah, because they don't know. It's all right. It's all good. That's the beauty of knowing coffee. So you can just, all you got to be like, just tell them a little bit of story. What is the story behind this? Here, let's say the Kateri AA, right? Kateri AA, the Kateri, as we've talked about, is a co-op in Eastern Kenya, right? So, but nobody knows that. You're not going to be hanging out with coffee people typically, right? That are, you can tell them all kinds of stories. It was, there was this beautiful farm and this woman, she picked it by herself and she's got this small plot of 2 hectares, and she picks all of the ripe cherries, and it's really well done. It sounds great. It sounds awesome. Nobody knows. It probably happens in the coffee business all the time. Not that I'm saying anything. Okay, let's see here. We got our coffee ready to go. And the nice thing about this is that you can just take your switch and just dump it out. Put that over here by the rinsing. All right, let's look at our coffees. We've got switch brewed immersion, switch brewed pour through, and then the instantar mimicking, right? So this is what Meagan has now. So let's pour them all. They should be somewhat relatively similar in temperature. Anton says, of course I tell them if I'm not happy with what I brew. Why? Why tell them? Don't tell them. That's one thing that we talk about, like in the woodworking world. It's like woodworkers have this really interesting like vibe about them, right? They're like, let's say they made this box, right? And they show their friends, oh, here's my box. And they're like, oh, you made this box? Man, it looks awesome. Yeah, I know, but you kind of mucked up right here, and like you kind of had to fix it. Nobody knows. They don't know that. Like you would have to go to like some really like knowledgeable woodworker that would notice it. And if that woodworker is actually someone that's like has done good work on their own, they're going to look at it. They might see it, but they're not going to say anything. They're not going to be like, oh, you mucked that up, didn't you? Right? But everybody else, they're like, oh man, it looks beautiful. Oh yeah, I kind of screwed this up here and I screwed this up there. Like, oh yeah, I see. Maybe you're not so good. Maybe you do suck at what you're doing. Right? So the same thing with coffee, right? It's like, here's some beautiful coffee for you. Well, you know, I messed up the brew. It went over by like 3 seconds, and I could have had a better grind, and maybe I could have, whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody knows, right? They're just happy you made them coffee, and your coffee is guaranteed to be better than what they're making at home. So, cheers to that. Cheers to that. Have to do the coffee justice. I hear you. I hear you. And Mackie says we always are, because we know the mistakes we make. But I learned long ago, never, because, you know, like, let's say with a latte art's a great example, right? Like we would make latte art at the shops, and like, man, it would be like ugly. You're like, God, that is just like, I'm ashamed of that work, right? It just looks like, and it's fairly decent, right? But it looks terrible to you. The average guest is like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, really? What are you, some kind of like uneducated charlatan? Yeah, they are, and it's okay because they love it, and that's all that matters. As long as people enjoy it, that's the only thing that really truly matters, not how technically proficient that it might have been made. All right, a little bit tight, like the flavor is a little bit tight. Like we have a little more expressiveness normally with this coffee, a little bit more brightness, but that brightness is tighter on the palate. It's like kind of like it's more restricted, and I think that's because, you know, it's got greater sediment coming out of it. And we can kind of look at this and see here, right? Like it's not so good with that, but so you can see it's a bit of opacity. Oh, that looks kind of opaque too. Okay, that looks clear. A little more opaque. Very opaque. Kind of opaque. Now here's something, right? Here's something I'm going to tell you, right? So this is very opaque. It's very opaque. You can't see through it. Here, it's not so opaque. And here it's clearer, right? What do you think? What do you see? What do you see? This is what we're doing here in America today, right? You're not seeing what you're seeing. This is clear. This is clear. Right? This is clear. Yeah, you're not seeing that. No. Anyway, so let's see the second one. This one is the pour through of the switch. Oh, yes. See, there's a huge difference, like in the flavor. Well, not the flavor, but the way it expresses itself, right? So, like I said here, that brightness that's in the Katheri is tighter. It's like it's constricted with here. It's like you can feel it right on the tip of the tongue. It's tighter. It just maybe just slightly like there's a little bit of bitterness in a soursop, right? Fruit. It kind of has that. Whereas here, it's much more open. The brightness is just more open. There's that bitterness still, but it's definitely more open. It's a little more expressive. Now, this one is the full immersion with the filtration. Oh, that's totally different. So the expressiveness is somewhat the same as far as that brightness that's included with it. But there's another element that's introduced in this one. And I'm trying to figure out what that flavor component is. But there's definitely an additional facet to the flavor of the coffee. Now, here's the thing, like the coffees, it's still the Kateri AA, right? It's not changing the nature of the coffee, right? If I take a taste, of each of these, there are very similar flavor characteristics to them, right? They're still the same coffee. The way that the brew methods impact that coffee changes the way that it presents itself, right? The presentation is different. The flavors are not necessarily different. Like this one does have a certain facet of the flavor that is not apparent in these. But so it's not changing the coffee, but what it does, it's kind of like cooking. This is how I kind of like correlate it. When you take, let's say, like chicken or pork or beef or whatever those things, and depending on how you cook the chicken or whatever, it's going to impact the way the flavor of it. Like you're not taking chicken and making it into pork, right? It's not going to do that. It's not going to make it to a steak, right? And certainly you're not going to take green jackfruit and make it into like pulled pork. Like I don't buy that at all. But what you can do with different brew methods is offer different interpretations of the coffee. And depending on your taste, like this is what we used to do at Spro. Whenever we get new coffees in, because we had so many different brew methods available, we would actually assign a coffee a brew method that we felt expressed that coffee in the best way. So, for example, let's say with this coffee, this Kateri AA, tight. There's a tightness to it that I'm not really fond of. There's better expressiveness with the brightness. There's even kind of a little bit of sour cherry note to it. But this one has much more expressiveness. And it even introduces another aspect of flavor that's not in these two. It's still the same coffee. It's still the same dose, different grind settings for them, relatively the same brew profile, right? But different experience. Like if I was to offer this on a menu, as a menu item, it would be this style. Like if you were to come in and sit to the old shop and be like, hey, can I get that Kateri AA? We would make it like this. Now, let's say you were a customer, and because we did have 7 standardized brew methods, if you were like, hey, I tried it like this the last time, can I try it as an AeroPress? Of course, we'd make it for you that way. Then you could experience the same coffee in multiple ways of expression. And that's what I think is interesting here, is that there's just different ways of expressing the coffee that you may or may not like, and you may or may not get the same results all the time. Like, so to Meagan's question, should I buy the Switch? I mean, like I said, I'm always like hesitant to say go buy more equipment because I just don't like the idea of buying. But maybe you might, if you see this and you think that there's some value that I want to explore, then certainly go buy it and try it out because you may find it to be to your liking. Now, here's the thing. Not all coffees will perform the same way in your brewers, right? So for example, and I'm going to use this as an example. In 2012, I ended up competing in the United States AeroPress Championship. And I got this coffee from Raul Rodas from Guatemala. And that was the coffee I used. And man, I aced that thing. Like I just stomped over everyone in the competition, just stomped over them. I've actually never expressed it this way until just now. But really, if I look objectively at the way that we approached it and the speed at which I was able to deliver the coffees, and then the sheer dominance that I had over that competition, I just obliterated the entire field. Obliterated. Sorry, Rusty, I think you were competing then, but obliterated everyone. It's not a humble brag, I know, but I obliterated everyone. And I was totally surprised to win. Like I was actually more hungry to have breakfast than having to deal with this silly competition. But anyway, I won with this coffee and this one recipe decimated everyone. I went to the internationals, to the World Championship of AeroPress. Different coffee, same brew method, same recipe, completely obliterated in the first round. Like I was totally wiped out. I was totally like excommunicated, like done. You suck, get out. Like, oh God. I was a champ. A moment ago, I was a champion, and now I'm just a dejected loser. That's how it goes. That's how it goes, right? Unless you win the world championship, then you stand above all others on the planet. But I'm not that guy. I was not that guy. So what I mean by this is that, even though you may like in this case, I think that the switch immersion is the superior choice for this coffee. It may not be for whatever coffee you're using at home. And it will change depending on the coffee that you obtain for yourself. So just be prepared for that. That's the one thing that I think is important to consider. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh, that was it. There's no more. I thought there might be more commentary, but there are not. So that's my thoughts for today on the Hario switch versus the Incentar. Should you buy the Hario switch? Perhaps. I know that's a terribly inconclusive thing. Yes, go buy the switch. Go buy the switch. Use the link down below. I get a little bit of a commission if you buy something on Amazon. I very appreciate that. That's really the way I make my. Or if you want to buy coffee from squirrelcoffee.com, that's how I make a living. So, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. All right. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Anton, I don't know what the glass is supposed to be, but probably is a bad thing. And then go buy the K's Vander Weston Spiritello. I like that. I like that idea a lot. I should call K's and be like, hey, man, will you send me one to borrow for like 2 years? K's, if you're watching, send me one to borrow for 2 years. All right. Naomi, good to see you. All right. So that's going to be it for today. We're back again tomorrow with more of the coffee Q&A. So if you have questions, let me know. We can talk about them. But at some point we will do, what are we going to do? We're going to do switch versus cover. Switch versus cover. All right. So until next time, have a great one and see you then. Oh, that did not work.